Hello everybody, this is ZigZagZog coming to you from somewhere in this world. We're back to continue our playthrough of Empire Total War featuring Darthmod in the 40 unit save version. And we made it at the end of last episode through a turn, so now we've got to kind of move some things around and make some things happen. And one of those things I'm thinking we're going to do is we got this thing working on replenishing after our last battle. What we're going to do is go aggressive and move that army before it's fully healed up this way, just because I do not see a lot of heavy resistance, at least in my line of sight, nearby. So we're going to just take the army out. And have it in place. So this army will not be able to cross that little gap to get over here, and this army could squeeze by, maybe or maybe not on the road. It's going to be cutting it close, but try and make that army feel a little squished in there. We're going to bring this army out. We're going to reinforce it with, I think I earlier had counted 7 units. To bring it up to full strength, yes. And we'll leave the reserves in town. And let's get this army marching down south to try to lock this guy in here. And then once we get rid of some of these remnant armies, maybe we can continue moving over against this province here and this province here, depending on what kind of reinforcements show up that are out of our vision right now. And we do have new turn money at over 30,000. So what I'm going to do is highlight everybody in this army, just get them replenishing in this process while they can. And let's head over to the Americas and the Cherokee. That's where our next battle actually is going to take place. And this is where we left it last time. They made no move to come out against this army here. Since they were out of reinforcement range, it might have been the best time for them to have their best chance, but they stayed put. So what we're going to do is move this army over here so they can act as our reinforcing army. This army is going to come in and do the assault in Cherokee territory, Chicasa. And this is going to be one heck of a big battle. We got over 10,000 on the Cherokee side, and we're looking at 8,000 in one army, and it's so crowded in here I can't tell you how many are in the other army, other than I'm pretty sure we outnumber them. By how much? Who knows? We're going to demand surrender. It was refused as I expected, so we're going to meet y'all down on the battlefield. Alright, looks like snow just finished falling. Oh no, there it goes. It picked back up again. We got a little bit of a rise in between both our deployment zones, so that seems to take artillery out of the picture until we move them about. I wonder. Now maybe over here we'll have a little bit of a line where the hill isn't so drastic, but not by much. So I'm going to ponder our setup here, see what I think we want to do, and we'll come back with that setup. Okay, here is the setup. We got one heck of a long line. We have our artillery slightly split. What we're going to do is they are set to move. What we're going to do is advance forward as fast as we can with our line to try and take the crest of this hill, just so we have great lines of fire with our artillery. The question being, they could be trying to do the same thing, so it could be a challenge. We'll see how that works out. Just in case, because they will be easy targets, we have our mounted tribal auxiliary, which will be kind of escorting the artillery forward. Well, the line infantry will be too, but just to have that extra little bit of protection as we move them while they're vulnerable up the hill. The Dragoons are off on the right flank, and I have no cavalry off on the left flank. We're 2 deep, second row set for melee support, and there's a unit 2 or 3 on each wing where we're 3 deep. So if they tried any flanking maneuvers, we're ready for them. So that's how we're set. What I'm going to do is get that front line ready to move, and then we'll start this battle. Okay, front line is selected. Front line is ready to go. We're going to advance them forward and then bring up the rear line as support. So let's see where they are. Very well hidden for the most part. What else did we expect? We're going to start our march forward. And we have, fortunately, Dragoons over here to go against their Lancers, and we're going to send them out right now. And we are going to send forward our Native American support units for our cavalry, so they are up here too and ready to react in case we get rapid advances. We already have the battle enclosed here against cavalry on cavalry. We're going to throw in some infantry support melee version just to help them out. And we're going to bring our second line forward. Right about there should do it. There's a lot of movement going on right now, but fortunately they're not pushing forward as hard as we are pushing forward. The battle is going in our favor over here, which is good. We want to keep our Dragoons moving against them and keep them from coming back. And the backline support will stay just as that. Backline support over here. It looks like we are going to be hard pressed on this side. That's where they seem to be massed up the most. Bring our general forward also. And our flank coverage on this side. And our artillery is ready to unlimber, and hopefully we'll have some shots here. Nah, we didn't quite make it to the crest of the hill with where I set the line. So we're going to move the artillery a little farther forward. Get them limbered back up. The biggest part of the attack would appear to be on this side. We're going to bring the Dragoons back for support. Get them running up. And it looks like we're going to have a lot of melee activity over here right now, and it's already hitting. We're going to start bringing forward. We don't want them to gain foothold at all. I'm most worried about the flank. But we fortunately have good depth right on the flanks itself. Get back to getting some artillery set back up. And for the most part, they seem to have set up away from the artillery. Probably afford to get the line a little more focused up here. We're going to run them, though. We have an attack already coming our way. More Native American Lancers, so we need the fire to be brought against them. Some back row melee support to help against the Lancers. What the heck? And our artillery, what are we shooting behind us for? Canister fire out front. Okay, Okay, we've pushed back some melee. We're going to keep going against the armed tribesmen. We have these guys up front. We may get canister fire with our cavalry, but we got to keep them away from the artillery. And we have held there. We need to get this infantry up front as fast as possible so we can provide fire and move the rest of the line up on this side where there doesn't seem to be a lot of activity. We have canister fire available. We're going to set it back here. And we're going to bring the cavalry back. They did their job to keep them away from the artillery. Now let's bring back the reserves a little bit so we aren't exposed and open to friendly fire. What have we got out here on the wings? Warrior Society. We're just going to go ahead and send in some backup melee units off on the wings that we have available. See about pushing them back. And he is out there all alone against a bunch of these guys. Let's get him back in, not taking friendly fire when they enclose. We do have some more reserves to be able to send forward. And the cavalry, the artillery, we want to have set right in front of us. Canister fire. They're right over a hill, so we can't get good fire on them until they get close. That's bad. So we still don't have the optimum setup for them, but we pushed them off barely. So let's get canister fire over here. There and right here on the lines. We're going to bring canister fire here for when they get close also. We're going to bring our cavalry up towards the center. Have melee going crazy on the wings, so we need to get and support our flank over here. We drove them off on the far side, but we're taking fire ourselves now from their musketmen. We're going to bring these guys out this way as quick as possible, take them off melee, and get them firing back also on these musketmen that are doing us some damage. We do fortunately have good fire by rank going against them there. You guys are just too aggressive charging out. I appreciate your enthusiasm. We're going to bring you back. So we get you too far exposed out there. In fact, we got the chief's general's bodyguard, chief's bodyguard right there. So we'll bring them in on the rear if we can handle it. It looks like our fire is going over their heads right at the moment. We broke them. And the warriors are closing in, so it's back to melee for these guys on the wings. And do we have any other support to bring over there? Yes, we do. The name of the game is just overwhelm as much as possible. Warrior Society did break one of our units. And it looks like the enemy general has fallen. We were able to take him out with the extra troops we brought in, especially coming into the rear of him. Looks like that finished the job. Let's Get reserved, back in reserve roll, so our line can retake shape. We are not doing well against this warrior society over here. We're going to bring this line back this way. And we broke. They finally broke, and we're going to bring him in reserve. He is almost decimated. He is almost gone. 60 men left. So now it's time to start getting our cavalry more active, I do believe. As these units retreat, we'll start bringing the cavalry out on this side. And the cavalry out on this side. And the dragoons are out here somewhere. And I think I lost track of them, and they're probably retreating because all of a sudden I kind of parked them out here, and I think they got bushwhacked by all these Cherokee troops in the distance that appeared. So we are holding, we are doing well. It's time to change more to long shot again because the immediate threats are gone from the artillery. So we're limited somewhat in the cavalry we're able to send out. There's some American warriors here that are regrouping. Let's see if a charge will help against them. We'll have to keep our eyes on that. We'll come over here too with this cavalry unit. And since the dragoons are gone, we're going to have to come up with some other options to get out there. We'll start running them down. We'll bring our general out now too. Now that the battle is safely in hand, I don't fear his life as much. And we're able to handle these guys. Unfortunately, the artillery is shooting into our cavalry, so we're going to try over here on these American warriors. I think our cavalry is outmatched right at the moment, potentially. So we get a bit extended. These guys are recouping and coming back very well. So I think we are possibly a bit overcommitted with our cavalry out here. It's hard to see with all the trees in the way. Maybe not. With the general arriving just in time to provide that little bit of extra support. Our left side is handled. It's a lot of Native American warriors right now. We're going to have to maybe mounted tribal auxiliary. Yeah, we're overwhelmed right now. It's time to take ourselves out of this battle before we lose our general, although he's wavering at the moment. Numbers wise, it just was not in our favor. We're going to run towards the musketmen as part of our retreat. See if we can't disrupt them with a nice little charge as we pull back. we can find them. And we found them. Into their rear as they fire on our lines. And that's not something they'll be able to hold up to. Except mounted tribal gunners are able to move in much closer than I would have preferred. But we repulsed them in time before they took out our cavalry, our artillery, excuse me. We took care of the musketmen now. So we're going to keep the cavalry active. No, we're not. With the warriors following us up. And you can stop. You were not supposed to be part of that command. And we'll let the infantry take care of the charging American warriors. This artillery unit we're going to silence. And we're going to start positioning against these musketmen here. We have numbers on our side, and this time the warriors did not hold up. We're going to send back the cavalry. Trying to make a maneuver around our flank, so we'll bring this gentleman out here and we will fire this way as they try to get around at the side. Some support. Because of our positioning, it wasn't quite perfect on the hill, so there were some blind spots where they were able to get close. But we have plenty of reserve troops back here that we're going to start sending out to handle the melee. Right now we're going to silence the artillery because I'm afraid of taking friendly fire over here. And we're going to start spreading out the cavalry units to start running down retreating units of theirs. Except he has full strength. Wow. So there's still some dangerous units out there. If they've closed hand to hand, we need to bring some support in here to fight that off. And we're going to do it right here. And we've been closed to melee here, so we're going to bring some support on here. So our right side is a little discombobulated. We don't have the right kind of real line support here that we ideally would like to see. We're going to do a little weird line shift over here also at speed. Start focusing on their retreating units so that they cannot come back. need to pull back. We're overwhelmed with numbers. 344 in the Native American tribesmen there. We are faltering. We've overcommitted our cavalry. And we're turning into a heavy melee kind of arrangement here now. And we've driven them off there. They have broken there. They have broken there. We got some Native American bowmen here we're going to move against. To heck with cavalry. The cavalry overall has gotten itself a little overwhelmed. And we're faltering over on the wings here. So we're going to bring some of our reserve units down that we never used before, because this is the side. Look at the bodies. This is the side where the fighting took place. We have loose units back here, some Native American bowmen. So the bowmen on their own, our infantry cannot hold up to them. So our lines are making a turn, our lines are changing. This battle has been very fluid. We have bowmen running around in the background. To close before we know they're even there. We got some more cavalry to bring in. We're going to try to bring them around the flanks. Like our general has died and perished. kept enough of an eye on the general. We got around their flank here, so we apparently had some hidden units that popped up. Surprised the general here. Well, we're going to activate this artillery, focusing where we need help. It looks like we are down to the last few units remaining. Both theirs and ours. Rather than keep infantry running against infantry, we'll stop that. We're going to actually keep them over here to this attack and end it once and for all. This is the last of their standout. Let's go take a look around. Do we have any other units that we cannot see that are keeping this battle going? We have a unit off in the distance, Native American warriors walking towards us. Any cannon we have remaining are going to be focused out there to try and weaken them down before we get there. Otherwise, we are going to start a slow advance. Bring up some more troops in reserve. Start reforming some lines to knock out this last bit of resistance. Bring these guys over from a different angle. And we have some reinforcements arriving is what's happening. That's why this battle keeps going, keeps lingering. We have our general's bodyguard, new general's bodyguard arriving on the field. And the battle has finally ended. Heroic victory on our part. I don't know why. Let's go take a look at the numbers. Okay, I see why. As we the casualties sure seemed like they were going to be a lot closer than that, but we lost 3,885 men to their 8,750. There's the difference, and the remaining troops 9,403 versus 1,453. So now we just have the final bastion of defense for the Cherokee, and we did lose our general to a heroic death. So we have the ability to continue with our follow-up force. To go over here, we'll be reinforced by the battle-worn units over here. We're going to go ahead and complete this maneuver right here. They've got 3,569 left. We're going to go ahead and fight this out. We'll see you on the battlefield after we try to surrender, which we knew would be refused. Now, this one does not seem to provide the restricted lines of sight that we had on the last battle. So we're going to go and set the artillery right up this way. I'm going to get everybody else set up in two-line deep formation as we usually do, and we'll be right back and start this battle. Okay, we have our setup. It's not quite as extensive a line as we had in the last battle. Let's just hope it's enough for us. Let's see how they set up and how we can do. Visible right off in the center. We're going to kind of send our cavalry out on the wings, hoping we can gain sight of some of those units we always have to deal with that are hidden. Unfortunately, with the artillery advantage, we do have the ability to bring them out into the open and have to charge into our lines. Although, you know what, I think I have decided, yeah, and there's units over here. I've decided we're going to hold the cavalry back. They got hurt real bad last time, just by pop-up surprise units that we accidentally have run into. So I'm going to play this time a little more conservative, especially since right off the bat we have an artillery advantage that we don't have to move and we can be firing right off the bat. So because of the quantity of casualties we took last time, I'm going to play it a little slower this time. So the initial assault seems to be coming on this side. I'm going to pull the cavalry in behind the line, so maybe they're going to be enticed to come that way. And I think what we got to do is we got some mounted tribal auxiliary here we're going to bring out to the wings. This time I have the tribal auxiliary in fire mode. They do not seem to be running through the city so much. So I'm going to bring my reserve line. I'm going to take a chance since they seem to like this flank better. We're going to bring these backups over to this side. That seems to be where the thrust of their attack is coming from. We do have the irregular, 2 units of irregular native musketmen over here to back up our artillery pieces. So far, so good. But then they looks like they have more and then they disappear, so it's always hard to get a true read on how actually they're looking and set up. And all does seem to be quiet on this side. So we're going to bring this last cavalry unit down to this side just to give us flexibility on the strong side they seem to be attacking. They seem to be holding off for the most part just out of range as they form their lines. We're going to focus artillery on the closest units just so we don't have to worry about that threat. Seem to not be threatened on this side. We're going to start turning the line out. Bring these units more off to the side, the long way around. Consistently offering some withering fire onto the Cherokee. We're going to bring the General's Bodyguard over here to break up this melee attack that should move my units too slow. They're wavering right now, so we might not need them, but we're going to bring them over there just in case, and they look to be retreating. So we held up just in time. The melee attack has closed in. It's now time to commit some of our reserve troops to support the line. Cavalry-wise, we now appear to have the Native American bowmen isolated. We're going to go in for saber charges to take them out. They seem to be most vulnerable to that. Again, we're going to come support this in the middle of the line where they have some holdouts. And the bowmen seem to fall to the cavalry charge. There they go, once and for all. Over here we have some musketmen, which also are prone to cavalry charge, so we're going to bring the cavalry right on over, continue their run. And the last of their assault seems to have been repulsed. Get in on them before they form for fire. It looks like we'll make it. We have to see if we have any other units maintaining coherence. Otherwise, that's going to be the battle if we can. I don't see any of their units standing, so I'm not sure why the battle hasn't ended. Usually the final unit doesn't remain hidden. Ah, here we go. There they are. Small unit of Native American warriors, 119 men. We're just going to go in with the cavalry charge, try to end it that way. The numbers falling fast. They are broken. They are shattered. Let's see if there's any more remaining miscellaneous units that we end up seeing. It's hard to tell in this lighting with the snow on the ground, but there is one more unit back here, so we're sending out the cavalry to do the job. We're going to have the general join him. And hopefully this time it's the last unit that will pop up. Oh, and there's quite a few popping up all of a sudden, so our cavalry may not be up to it. I'm going to see if our artillery can focus on the distance rather than hitting our own cavalry charge. And we're going to have to see how well we hold up to this. Oh, the medicine men are tough. I know right now I want to pull back. Bring the general back out of it. We overcommitted way more than we expected out here. Get our own artillery shooting down on these soldiers here in the distance. Keep them moving, keep them moving, keep them moving. We allowed them to keep us from moving. And one has broken. We got line infantry on the move to help support us. We're going to get them formed up. Oh, looks like we have some pikemen in the mix. And once again, we lost track of one of our cavalry units. Now they're in range of the infantry at last. We have bowmen. Cavalry is up to that task. They aren't supported by anyone else. The American warriors are a little farther back, so we're going to bring them out. Bring the pikemen out to try and take on some of the melee duties. And the bowmen have folded. We have some warriors. Since it's an isolated unit, we will continue the cavalry charge. The enemy general has fallen, which will hopefully make our job easier. The pikemen are doing a number hand-to-hand. They were the ones we should have had forefront long ago. Continue running the Native American warriors, and we're finally breaking what would appear to be some of their final units. Medicine men are broken, but may rally, and we do not see, at least yet, any other troops. We know they can spring up from anywhere. In fact, here we got some more musketmen over here. The musketmen may be all that remains. Tired pikemen have been running the whole way. They're going to get there too, and that would appear to be the only unit we're seeing at the moment, unless there ends up being another hidden unit after this one. Like right there. And it broke. And that is the end of the battle. We're going to end it right here. Heroic victory on our part. Somehow these battles never feel heroic, even though we get that heroic moniker. We only lost out of all that sloppiness 891 men compared to their 3,569. And the Cherokee may have been defeated. Region captured, no. So the Cherokee still exist out there. I do not know where. Oh, that's where. They may not have an army left, but we never did go back and take on New Orleans, so that's where we will be moving next. In fact, we'll take our rake and put him on the move, since nothing is needed from him anymore. At least where he is.
Nog iets anders? Ik ben onderweg.
Now, do we have any forces we could possibly bring to bear? I don't think Cuba got wiped out a little bit. Maybe what we can do is pick these two units up.
Orders? Zullen zijn geesten?
We'll go in the port, bring them over here, pick them up. And see if we can't take them over in this direction.
Aye, aye.
And do we have the movement to bring the land forces over? We're about to find out.
Klaar voor de strijd!
And it says we'll have the advantage. After those two exhausting battles, we're going to see if they surrender. Surrender refused. We're actually going to auto-resolve it slightly in our favor. Let's go try the auto-resolve gods and see if they're in our favor. And we were defeated. It wasn't a big battle, not a big deal. I was just hoping to end it this episode as opposed to keeping the Cherokee hanging on for a little bit longer, but we'll be able to take them out soon. So we're going to end the episode here. We never even got through all the moves we needed for this turn, but two big, ugly little battles, but we knocked the bulk of the Cherokee armies off the battlefield or off the map. So it's just a matter of time now. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Got any pointers for me? Things I should be looking to do better for these massive melee battles? Feel free to chime in. I don't mind any advice, any input that you might have, experiences you might have. This is ZigZagZog signing off from somewhere in this world. Thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it.